Good evening and a very warm welcome to all the participants this evening. Food for thought, Pavitra. A meeting of minds, Pavitra. Giving us a sense of direction, a new meaning. That's Pavitra. And here we are, once again, with two experts. Before I introduce them to you, let me recreate a scene. Parents are at home, schools are shut. They are not reopening soon. Children are sitting within the confines of the four walls. Nanny is not there, grandparents can't visit, no outings. Home, is it a home or is it a cage? Teachers are peering through the monitor. The personal touch, the one-on-one interaction, it's not there. Challenges. But are we not going to create challenges, turn challenges into opportunities? Let's do it. That's what we are here for. And to help us along this journey, this meaningful journey, where we will be creating opportunities out of challenges, we have Rekha Shahani and Deepak Bharwani. Now, for me to introduce Rekha is a very, very daunting task. So when I said this, somebody said she's a millennial at heart, and that speaks volumes about her. I went through her biodata and I was impressed, inspired. So many adjectives came to my head. Educationist par excellence. The Kamla High School, from where she started her career, has blossomed under her as a mentor and has won several international awards. Other than being such an important person in the field of school education, she has crossed boundaries, literally and metaphorically. She has visited so many countries. Her initiative that combines peace with education, where she builds up a curriculum which is aimed at establishing peace throughout the world, means so much to us. She has been to Pakistan. She has spoken to people who have been at the forefront of peace initiative in Kashmir. Because when you deal with situations like Kashmir, when you deal with states like Pakistan, you need to talk about peace and peace through school curriculum. What a daunting task, what an important task, and what an honor for you and for us to know you. Other than this, what impressed me most was that she has not limited herself to school education. She's really concerned about compassionate policing. She thinks about society at large. She holds seminars, training sessions, so that she can give back to the society in more ways than one. Rekha's also very much into spirituality. She's a sadhak. She's a practitioner of her philosophy. And I'm extremely happy to welcome you, Rekha, such a multifaceted personality. And I'm sure you'll help me navigate through this quagmire, this whole cobweb of challenges that we will be looking at through this conversation.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yes, you're most welcome, and it's an honor for all of us. Introducing Deepak to you, an educator, a businessman, a researcher and writer on uniqueness people bring to the world. His certification in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, MBTI, and the strong inventory has enabled him to tap human uniqueness and potential through his very insightful discussions with students, corporate executives, and families. His decade-long endeavor has established him as a strength coach. And if I may add, Deepak, it's such an apt nomenclature because there are too many who would vouch for the fact that you have helped them to tap their inner strengths. And I've been through one of your seminars, and I'm one of the beneficiaries, one of those who've learned a lot from those seminars. I've known him as a very sincere spiritual seeker. And during the course of this conversation, you will also know his insights vis-a-vis school-going children and the amazing work he does with Gopal Fun School at Radha Gopinath, Girgaon Chowpatty. So welcome to Pavitra, Deepak, and to both of you, my first question, to both of you. This challenging
Shubha,
scenario.
can I take the privilege of talking a little bit about you also?
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes, so Shubhaji is one of the most eloquent speakers I have come across. I remember hearing her speak from the podium maybe a decade back, and I was sitting with the chairman of the Arvind Mafatlal group. And after the program got over, he told me that I have not met a better master of ceremony in my life. And coming from him, it was a big, big compliment. When she speaks, she is extremely charming. She has a repertoire of words to choose from. Not surprising because she's a gold medalist in English literature when she did her MA, a silver medalist in her BA, and she also won the principal medal when she passed out from the 10th standard. So a medalist all through. Yes, a spiritual seeker, and she brings a lot of charm to the events she brings, she attends, she participates in. I'm sure she has a lot of answers to the questions she's asking. So I'm sure she will also contribute to this whole discussion. So thank you, Shubhaji, for inviting us.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I've always believed it. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. And Rekha, in one of her conversations, said that good people say good things. So I'm honored when it's coming from you. Yes, so let's get going. I recreated the scenario, the challenging scenario. Now, to both of you, what was your first response when you first realized that the pandemic was not going away soon and a new normal was fast emerging for all of us, especially kids, because the entire family was now going to be restricted at home. Schools were not going to reopen. Parents were going to be there. Some of the children might say breathing down our necks. So what was your first response? Rekha, to begin with, if you can.
So I may shock you with my answer, but it was like, we heard it was the best of time and it was the worst of times. And I just felt that sab mein bhalai hai. And maybe we have asked for it and it has just come. We have been having so much of everything that we had to realize the value of everything. We had health, so we had to realize about it. There were so many things, sorry, I'm getting cut, I think. So there were so many things that we had taken for granted. This was the way the universe had to tell us, pause, take a break, take a pause and breathe, So that was honestly my first total reaction to it. I smile. At times I'm not happy. At times I'm peaceful. At times I have different emotions, but that was my first thought. Thank you.
Wonderfully said. Optimism is the key. And as I said, challenges will bring opportunities. Yes, Deepak, tell me what you have to say.
I remember this prayer. This is called the Serenity Prayer. It says that God, give me the courage to accept what I cannot, or rather it goes like this. Give me the patience to accept what I cannot change. Give me the courage to change what I can change. And give me the wisdom to decide between the difference. So I think, as you rightly said, it is an opportunity in the challenge to change what we can and to accept what we cannot.
Absolutely. And to not be able to see the dark side, to be able to see opportunities and the bright side needs a lot of courage, needs a lot of training. Now, Rekha, what, in your view, and as per your experience, do you think are the two basic issues that are being faced by children when they are sitting in front of a monitor and that's their school, that's their classroom? I want you to talk about two basic ones that you think come foremost to your mind.
Topmost, I'm not allowed to do mischief, which I would do in the class. So that is affecting me emotionally and mentally, sitting in front of the screen. And I'm supposed to sit in a way that I'm expected to sit in the class for that duration, which is not humanly possible. The second is that emotional and social thing, which I am not having with my screen. So even though my friend is taking my rubbers and pencils and all, I get angry, irritated. I'm here. My mother and father are watching me all the time. So it's not only the teacher watching me, but it's my parents watching me. It's my grandparents watching me. And I have to behave in a particular manner. So even when I'm not understanding a thing, I cannot put up my hand because there are so many of us on the screen that my teacher cannot focus on me. So it is affecting me as a student. I do not understand why I cannot go out, why cannot I have recess, and why I cannot play with my friends. I still cannot understand, though even I'm in the 8th and 9th standard.
So there's this lack of coming to terms. Is it so? And the children are feeling very restless and agitated?
No, it is, I would say, 4 things: physical, mental, emotional, and social thing all put together. These 4 things are a bare minimum necessity. And I am not getting that as a student. So physically, I'm supposed to be sitting. I want to lie down because I'm on the screen, but my teacher is watching me. My teacher has entered my house. I do not want her to see my house. So that is the physical, and it's affecting me spirally with the emotional thing, So it's all, like, would say, catch 22 situation. So, and also it depends on the age level of the child and also the economic background from where the child is coming. So we have to, kind of keep a balance. And I'm teaching the elite school also, and I'm teaching a child who's going to a municipal school also. So I am facing these challenges every day as a teacher. So I know what the students are going through.
What will you tell the students if they were to come to you with your list of woes? And tell me just one thing that you would say and tell them that, look, this is your mantra.
Whatever the situation, just decide for today. I will be happy for 24 hours. And after those 24 hours are over, again decide. I'm going to be cheerful for next 24 hours. And after that, again decide for 24 hours. I'm going to accept the situation. I play with them like that. I said every 24 hours, we will change what we decide. So accept karo, bond karo, then you be compassionate, do masti for 24 hours. Just give them a 24 hours mantra and they'll be happy.
Yeah, and they must keep their chin up and be as happy and smiling as ever.
Absolutely.
But, yes. But Deepak, something comes to my mind when I hear this. See, life's always been about constant change, isn't it?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Somewhere I feel that children are a little too young to understand this. It's a philosophical thought. And how do they come to terms with this changing scenario in life? It happens all the time. And here's one thing that has suddenly hit them. So how do they understand this? How do they understand these constant states of flux that are
True. I think we all need to take responsibility. The parents also need to get in. This is something new to the whole world. I mean, interacting with the screen all the time is a unidimensional experience. For example, you want to go for a holiday. You don't go to Switzerland by looking at the screen, you know. So you want to go to Switzerland, you want to feel the air. It has to be a multi-dimensional experience. So now children are not getting the multi-dimensional experience at home. So as parents, can we do something which will bring in that multi-dimensional experience? So I know some families, they have started growing chilies at home, capsicum at home, which spring up pretty fast. And when children see all these things growing, there is a kind of a aha. It's like a wow moment. Okay, take the kids into the kitchen. Okay, show them how puris are made, and when they see the puris bloating, it again creates a wow moment. Talk to the children about your parents, your grandparents, where they came from. These times may not come back. The time we are getting to spend with each other, create those aha moments with your children. I think it's an
Creating
opportunity.
those aha moments, yeah, the wow moments, creating them at home.
Yeah, and I'm
You
sure
know,
there are
yes,
many ways to do it. If you ask me what are the different kinds of dals, I will not be able to explain. I mean, children can learn simple things at home where they have to touch things, where they have to feel things, where they have to do things. And let's do it as a family. And these will create memories for the future.
well said. Now, Rekha, uh, I was talking to a couple of teachers, and they said something which really upset me a little bit. They said, you know what? Children are not being disciplined. And the main reason for their indiscipline is that there is some kind of conversation going on at home about the quality of teaching, about the structure of school fee. So for teachers, it's slightly unnerving. I feel the parents need to step up their act. What do you have to say to parents at this moment?
I just have a humble request to all the parents, whether they are watching or not, that kindly consider this time that we are all in it, but differently. Never criticize a teacher or a school during this time, especially. Many times when the schools are on, I hear parents criticizing the teachers, unhone aise padhaya, unhone aise nahi padhaya. It's new for teachers also. And you will not realize what the teachers are going through at this moment. In IB school and certain IGCSE school and certain schools, they were used to online teaching, but not like this. They were used to different kinds of boards and all. But this moment, that teacher who used to get up early in the morning and go to work, for her, maybe some of the teachers, that was the only outing. Today, we are all stuck in one house where we are going through our own emotions as teachers. We need the support. And when what you rightly said, it's true, because the children are hearing, we will not pay the fees to the school. School kya kar raha hai? Children are hearing, ye teacher aise padhati hai, I could have taught better. Children are hearing, why pay the fees to the school and we will give it to the tuition teachers and get one-to-one connection. Children are hearing that, and you may not be telling that to the children, but they are listening all the time. And that changes the attitude of the child when he's sitting in front of the, that respect which we are not giving to the teachers is going down to our children. So they get a license of saying that. But my humble request is, let all the stakeholders in education, whether it's the government, education department and all, we have to speak the same language, which we are not at the moment speaking. While I understand about the management, they cannot pay the rent. I can understand the parents also who have lost their job. But do we need to criticize is my only question, because that child is watching us, he's listening to us, and he'll grow up with that thought, which is not good emotionally for all of us.
And I think here in this case, some amount of spiritual training, maybe a little bit of stories from the Puranas, stories from our scriptures, stories about role models do play an important part. So when you're working with children at the Gopal Fun School, Deepak, are you using this tool to inculcate the right values in children?
Yeah, I mean, this is our endeavor. Now, basically, as Rekha was explaining, that there's a lot of negativity which is being expressed towards the teachers and schools. And let me explain that we all live in a room which is interconnected. So if I'm showing negativity towards my teachers, this negativity will spread towards my family, towards my children. So negativity spreads, and it's like a cancer. It keeps on growing. And at home, we are seeing so much of negativity going on. So yes, we are not saying ignore the negativity. I'm saying replace the negativity or add positivity. If I can see a fault in somebody, can I see something good in the person also? I can see a fault in my child. Can I see what is good in the child? If I'm seeing a fault in my father, can I see something good in my father? And it's like a small chingari. If I flame the positive will become into a bigger flame, and then the negative will appear to be smaller. When we're all living together, if we just constantly look at each other's negativity, it is going to create a burning sensation. It's going to destroy the family. It can start with being negative towards the teacher. It will ultimately come and burn you. And that is what we do in Gopal's Fun School. We say, worship the Lord. Now, what does it mean by worshiping the Lord? It means praise the Lord. It means find out what is good in the Lord and try to imbibe those qualities. So I think it's an opportunity to dig and find out what's good around. We have a choice. Either look at only the negative. I'm not saying ignore the negative, because there would be something to work on. But I'm saying at the same time, one lens looks at negativity, one lens looks at positivity.
So, in fact, the parents have to lead by example, and they have to bring about a certain amount of discipline in their interpersonal responses within the home. And I think that will seep through, and the children would be far more disciplined and receptive positively to the changes around them. Is that so?
Absolutely. I mean, the rot begins from the top. If you see a fruit rotting, it will rot from the top first. So the rot travels from the top of the family to the bottom of the family. So if you say my child lies a lot, please try to see whether you do so. My child tends to hit other children. Do you do that to your child? Because children typically learn by observation first and then by words. Actions speak louder than words. Light travels faster than sound.
Definitely.
So if we have to teach our children something, teach through our behavior, they will catch that first. And this is a great time to teach your children, because they are looking at you 24/7, very, very close quarters. So if you want to set an example for your child, no better time than this. In fact, Richard Branson was asked, you're a great leader, what do you want to be known in the world as? And he said, I would like to be known in the world by the quality of children I have. And that's actually a true indicator of your character.
Definitely. But very well said, Deepak. But Rekha, you also said so, that, parents have lost their jobs, and there are moms who are not used to cooking in the kitchen for so long. They don't have help around them. Now, tell me, how should one important tool that they must have with them, where they can become positive, adapt so well? It's like they've been swept by the storm. So it's not that they are not affected, they are affected. So how do they get their act together? Can you think of one thing that will really help them?
It's beautifully said. No, the attitude decides your altitude. So I think
Yes.
we just have to focus on attitude of gratitude. I think we just have to put that forward to our kids, to our family, to everybody, because it is not an easy time for any one of us.
Definitely. It's going to be tough. And if it's going to be so tough and there's no deadline when it's going to end, we have to travel a long way. Now, one of the issues that parents are going to deal with is when they sit with the children in the same room as the place where they are interacting with their teacher. The teacher feels that they are intruding. If they leave the room, the child gets restless. This is a very confusing scenario. It's the teacher, the taught, and the parent. How do we build a communication bridge which helps them solve problems together? I want your views, both of you.
So, like Deepak said, stories play a very, very important role in all our life. I think like a maths teacher doesn't say a story, but an English and a language teacher is expected to say a story. I, as a teacher, feel every class should have a story, which has a value, which has a role model, which keeps the children engaged. Once you start or end with a story, believe me, you will get 100% attention. Second, please have a separate session with the parents. Please talk to them. And more than talking to the parents, please listen to the parents. Parents have their own issues and which are really large. Once we talk and listen to them, listen more, believe me, you'll get 100% attention from the students. Children are not bad. It's because we elders are talking different language and we are on a different page altogether, they are confused. So listening to the parents, listening to the teachers, and then having a Zoom with the parents, teachers, and the management. Okay, we will not say when the end is, but let's make our journey beautiful. And listening to each other, I think that's going to change the entire thing, you know. The problem is we love to talk and we are not listening. Though when we say do kaan hai, I think we should actually practice this during this time of listening and have a session on listening and we'll get everything done.
Yes. Storytelling, listening with empathy, very important points.
Yeah.
Deepak, may I have your viewpoint?
Yeah, so, when I'm in front of 25 kids on the screen, and I know behind those 25 kids, there are maybe 25 parents, I'm very conscious. And if I get corrected, it's very embarrassing. So the sensitivity has to come in from the teacher's side. At the same time, it's a great opportunity to talk about the good of the child. So if you find something interesting about the child, a strength which a child is exhibiting, talk about it. Say, okay, Prakriti, you've been so kind. Raghav, you've been so analytical. Hitisha, you have been so artistic. Great opportunities to build the self-worth of a child. But you can only say that if you know the child. You cannot bluff. And they say a great teacher is the one who loves his or her students, much more than the subject possibly. And if the child gets that feeling that this teacher really understands me, acknowledges my good, they will be able to accept the negatives also.
Accepting negatives of the child?
In the sense, like if you correct me, I will accept it. Provided you've understood me, you also acknowledge the positive I have, and you praise me in public and you correct me in private.
Definitely. But all this has brought me to one thought, Rekha. I know that there are counselors in school nowadays. So don't you think they need to be more active in this process?
The fact is, we have very few counselors to the number of schools and students that we have. And that is a very big issue. And some schools don't even believe in counselors. But thankfully, we have a lot of webinars going on which are focusing on mental health of parents separately, of students separately, of office staff separately. So that has helped a lot. And like questions do keep coming up, and there are a lot of personal questions that are shared. Like even when I'm taking a session on Zoom, the questions that come up privately from the students, it's unbelievable. It's like, sometimes very shocking. It's very shocking. It's very sad, because I tell the children that keep the communication going between the elders and everybody in the house. And one of the girls put in the private chat that, ma'am, that you told me keep the communication going, but she's a 9th standard kid. And she said, my mother didn't speak to me for 2 days. And then I feel, are we really parents that we have to stop talking to the kids rather than listening to them and explaining to them what is right or wrong? So that is the time when I say we need to listen to parents and their emotions, because what made the mother, instead of getting angry or instead of listening to the child or speaking to the child, not speak for 2 days?
True.
So I think this is where the role of platforms like Pavitra comes in. We have more and more interaction with people who can deal with emotional issues
Absolutely.
of parents, of children, and then, come to a consensus. And you very rightly said that all the stakeholders have to come together and think of a via media where these challenges can be created into opportunities. Deepak, tell me one thing. When you are at Gopal Fun School and the children are in front of you, do you think that they are as attentive to teachings from our scriptures as they are to the world, things that are going on in the world outside, the more so-called normal things like cartoons and superhero stories? How do you go about it? Because I feel that this is the age when we talk to them about scriptures, make it easy for them to understand. It will instill some kind of inner strength and discipline in them. It's a very daunting task, isn't it?
Well, yes, nothing is easy in life. In fact, our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, when he gave the name to the school, he called it Gopal's Fun School. So it seemed like a very simple name, but when we started analyzing, it meant that it has to be fun. So God cannot be boring, because if God is boring, then I'm not interested in God, especially for children. So we make it interesting, and the philosophy comes later. First, the philosopher comes in. If they like the philosopher, they will like the philosophy. So we spend a lot of time making friends with them. They want to come back because they like the teacher. And through the teacher, the teachings are imbibed. So we'll think of creative ways of making it very interesting, engaging, enlightening, entertaining for them. Just a point to the question which you asked, Rekha, that the mother did not speak to the child for 2 days. I think there are times where we need to show our vulnerabilities to our children. You go to your child, if your child is matured enough, to say what is really concerning you. So you may have a counselor sitting in the house as your child. And, conversations can really relieve a lot of emotional pain. So just want to add to that.
Yes, so I'm reminded of the playway method that we were taught while we were going our teachers' training, and to make the concepts easier, more engaging. And I think, yes, Gopal's Fun School is aiming at it, but in a more important way. because you're dealing with scriptures, you're dealing with philosophy. Don't you think certain sessions with parents would also help them so much?
Yeah, because if the parents and children are aligned. So, for example, if you teach a prayer to a child and the parent doesn't know the prayer, the parent feels good about it. But if the parent knows the prayer, then they say the family that prays together stays together. So we encourage even the parents to learn what the children learn.
Rekha, just a thought. You know what? You're working with school children. So here is Deepak. I think this is a very good platform where you be introduced to each other, and Gopal's fun school going to various other schools, carrying the message of our philosophy in a very fun way would be a very wonderful idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. We run this program called Kuch or, besides academic, something else. And I have been doing this online now in this lockdown time. And I do the ninth and 10th higher classes. But believe me, I've had 80 and 90 students present, and I've never had discipline issue. On the contrary, I've had their brothers and sisters of 6th and 7th also sitting there. So I think we both, what Deepak and I are doing on the same platform, but in a different way. Because when I said physical, mental, social, and emotional, the fifth part, the spiritual part, we cannot forget, because that keeps us going. That will keep the parents going. That will keep us all together, and that will keep us sane.
True. Yeah.
Yes. So we've been talking about discipline, we've been talking about values, we've been talking about inculcating the right philosophy. Uh, but something else comes in my mind. We are what we eat. As a teacher, it's very important for teachers when they look at the tiffin boxes of children and say, look, you've got junk there. You better get some sprouts. So tiffin time is a very important time, I know, in many schools where they highlight the importance of eating correctly. Now, how is this going to happen at home? Because mothers are not used to cooking, the maid's not there. So, how are we going to deal with this issue, Rekha? It's make it, they are very busy. They are working 14 hours a day, the work from home concept.
So in this case, I always tell the children, I said that our stomach is so small, but we eat so much. This is the right time to decide for this stomach what you want to eat. And I say the same to the parents. And like the Deepak was talking about puris and all, I was telling them about creativity. And I said, let the kids cook. We give them clay, give them atta, gundne do unko. Let them cook for a day or two. They will realize where we stand. And I asked them, like, once they said, no, but I can't make my chapati round. So I said, but whoever said that the chapati had to be round? It could be a map of India. It could be the map of the world. This is the time. Let's make different things. I feel if we focus on 3 meals a day, which gives us the basic nutrients for the day, I think we should not worry. Because you know what? We are lacking the physical movement. Human beings were not meant to be sitting in one place. We need that movement. I know the students who are in the 10th and 11th, which I'm dealing with, and they have the iPhone, and then they feel very happy, oh, that many steps I took. But the reality is today we are doing things that we were not doing before. So if we are giving the basic necessities, and I just feel that we need to be a little more innovative. And if I can get bored eating the same type of gobi ka bhaji, my mother needs to be more innovative and make different types, which she should give me the freedom to do it. I, as Rekha, love bhel puri and I love chaat. So I can't expect my child to all the time eat, cooked food or sprouts. When I was a kid, I realized I never, and I accept that. I accept that in front of my students that I hated these things. And I use the word hate. And then I bring them closer. And I think this is just the time when we need to focus on the bare minimum, but healthy food. Whichever way you want, let the children make, let your husband make. And I bet if the men are watching, because the men are the best cooks in the world. So I think it's time for all of us to cook whichever day. We just divide it in our way and cook it.
Yes, I was about to say that. the men, the dads especially need to step in and uh, show their expertise in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
And
Yes.
there's so much we can do. We can do so much. When we were like few years back, we heard about spring dosas and all those types of. We never as kids had cheese dosa and spaghetti dosas. Now there is so much choice that we have. I just feel the child should go to the kitchen, see what ingredients are there with the mother, and just the mother should. And today with our Google Chacha and Google Mama, we have enough of recipes around where the simple and the basic things we can make. And where the fire is concerned, go with the child. And believe me, like when Deepak was talking about Switzerland and holidays, I know families who actually did 8 weeks of summer camp during this lockdown period. And every week was a different thing that they would have done in summer camp. So maybe we could play those kind of games with our kids and feel young also and feel good about it. So one week was only about, how to do kitchen work. So that even was about laying the table. It was about how much detergent to use to wash the bartans and spoons. So, when they were sharing with me, even I was excited and even I was learning. I said, these are fantastic creative ideas. So I think we just have to get creative during these days.
Okay, so lot many things have come up. Creating the wow movement, moments for us, being optimistic, being grateful, learning through stories, inspiring stories, being creative, full-time parenting, full-time office work, the teachers also there, school classrooms are missing, so you have to create the right ambience at home where the child doesn't slouch in his chair and sits straight in the classroom. My God, it's too much. And then we're thinking about well-being at home. We are putting too much pressure on the parents. That's what they feel. But now, since these are challenging times, we'd better rise to the occasion. And who would be a better teacher for a child than the parents? Isn't it so? Uh, saying all this, tell me, how do we overcome this casual attitude of children while sitting at home and looking at the teacher? How can she, the mother or the father, make the room a classroom for the teacher, for the child? Deepak, won't that make
Okay.
it easier for the teacher?
True. So I believe that we need to have balance. Too much of anything is not good. Too much of milk is not good, while milk is good.
Yeah.
Too much of mangoes is also not good, while mangoes is good. So I believe that if we can sit together as a family and make a routine, saying that so many hours of classwork, so many hours of homework, so much time for exercising, so much time for playing. So when the child is getting a balanced experience of many things, he's able to be quite attentive to the activities he has committed himself to or herself to. And in today's time, while everybody's at home, if we know each other's routine, it really helps. So I think the key is balance, nothing excessive, doing anything excessive as such.
Uh, what about wearing the uniform at home and listening to the teacher? Rekha?
So I would like to even add over here. I know you asked Deepak, but I personally go 100% what he's saying about too much of everything is not good. But I would say make a home, but have a routine. Some kids love to wear the uniform because they feel, they are a part of their education and studying and curriculum. School nahi ja rahe, to humko pehne ke. But some don't like it. So it depends. So I have requested the schools that you see. So even if you're having 5-day school or 6-day school, give them a choice at this moment. Because again, what happens? the uniform has to be washed, the child is not going to iron them. Again, the parents have to iron them. And I know a lot of families today are doing with no ironing for the last 2 months. So it's fine. So I would say give choice to them, but have a routine. That is a must, you know. If you don't have a routine, then you will get into more of anger and more of problems, I feel personally.
Here's a question that has come up. The parent wants to know how should the parents deal with their temper issues. How do they control their temper? 24/7, we are all together and children are around. What's to be done in this? Rekha and Deepak, your views on this?
This is the temper of the parent or the child or both?
Yes, the parents themselves, they have this issue.
Okay. So, as I was saying that, let's accept ourselves as human beings. Yes, we will get angry. Don't beat yourself if you get angry. Yes, getting angry repeatedly, that's a concern. But if we say, no, I will not get angry, that will make you more angry. And let the child accept the fact that it is okay that my father and my mother are not perfect parents. Sometimes they can get angry. Sometimes they can argue with each other. That's part of life. And what can I contribute to make the house a more livable place? And I think conversations are a great way to release emotions. Maybe after dinner, we all sit together and we share our experiences and frustrations of the day. And when people hear that, there's a lot of release that happens. As Rekha was saying, that listening is a very powerful tool, because through listening, we can understand people. And when people feel understood, they feel emotionally elevated. So great conversations at home, open conversations at home, a feeling of acceptance at home can relieve a lot of emotional pain.
Definitely. So these are the interpersonal issues that we're dealing with between the mother and the father. But Rekha, what's happening nowadays is that children are at home and there is too much of opportunity where children are not listening to parents. There's a constant friction. How do mothers stop themselves from shouting at children? How do they bring about this discipline?
I just have one question to the angry parents. Are you hungry? If you're hungry, you're angry. So are you looking after your food? Are you looking after your health? Is my first question. Second, are you angry because your child has done something wrong and you have become angry, or the workload of the house and of the office and the spouses being at home is bothering you? And for me, what has really worked over the years for my anger is having a quiet time daily. I am not saying meditation, but just quiet. And when I'm talking of silence, I am listening to my inner voice. I'm listening to myself. I'm listening to my body. When my body says I am tired, am I taking that rest, So I think listening to ourselves, listening to your family, like Deepak said, conversations, and having that me time, my time. Please, that is very necessary for every human being. Today, when I take a 1 hour or 40-minute session with the students, I give a pause after 15 minutes and I'll say, we'll just listen to ourselves. What did I learn or what did I do? And I think that silence is very important. And anger is an emotion. It's normal. And if it wasn't, then we would be on a different plane. But are we getting angry with ourselves because I've got a headache and I'm getting angry? It's both ways, no? Because you're angry, your headache is there, and headache is there because you're angry. So my point is, have that silence with you and question yourself again and again, please.
Yes. So listening to our own self, analyzing what's going on within, building communication channels, communication bridges, eating right, exercising, And we have the time now. This virus has given us the opportunity that Deepak was talking about initially. And he said that this time won't come again. So let's make full use of it. Uh, Deepak, as a teacher, Rekha, and when we are dealing with curriculums, I have something to add here. If this suggestion could be of some value. In my stint as a teacher, I found children have very little love for history. Now, there is enough literature available. And if I may say so, not at the cost of sounding as if, I'm advertising it, but there was a very important source of history which was easily available in those days, which is soon going to be out of print, was in the form of Amar Chitrakatha, which brought about the entire national movement, the Mughal period, the golden ages of India, everything in our homes in those wonderful picture books. And I thought, if we could teach history to those engaging picture books and narrate history like a story. Incidentally, the word story is there in history. So that was there. And I wish, Deepak, if we could include stories from our scriptures in the moral education class that is there in schools and many of their timetables. But instead of scriptures, we are narrating stories from elsewhere, which are good. I'm not saying that we should not source our material from current affairs, from the society which we live in, but I think some part of scriptural references should become ingrained in the curriculum. Rekha, do you have anything to say on that?
You when you said children don't like history, and I laughed because I'm a history teacher, and the first time I go to the class, I write history over there, and I put the story on this side, and I said it's only high story. I said I've come here only to tell you stories. And then, like, even now when people ask me, but what do you do? Because I took voluntary retirement as a principal, and then I said I'm an advocate of a new story. So when people are talking about Jallianwala Bagh and massacre and 1857 revolt, I'm teaching the children how we can avoid that in the future. So what you said is so true and so right. I just feel there that more of B.Ed colleges should talk about it, more B.Ed colleges should teach that, and more than anything, managements of schools should give the freedom to the teachers to be different. And everything, like I'm a principal of a state board school, and the book is like literally so thin. I always used to tell my teachers, I said, I can finish this book in 5 sessions, because you just take out stories about the people, individuals, and just tell the children, and the entire book is done. So I just feel that if the curriculum would be in the form of stories, and like you said, Amar Chitrakatha, I think till today, I would love to read it. So we heard about Ambedkar doing the constitution and all, but what Amar Chitrakatha taught me, I think nothing else could. That's why library in a school is still my favorite place. I love the thought of books, though I know everything is being digitalized, but books are books at the end of it, and nothing like storybooks.
But you know what? With this coming in of online education, as it is, the children were too engaged with gadgets, and books were taking a backseat. Story reading was not the norm of the day for them. Whereas for us, relaxation time was picking up a storybook, right? So now there is a comment on YouTube about this. And it says, today's kids are on phone during their free time. Reading stories is not done by today's generation. This is a problem that many of our listeners would like you to address. Deepak, have you any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do some training for the corporate sector. And when we narrate a story, everybody loves it. I mean, I don't know anybody on this planet who says, I don't like stories. Because when you narrate a story, it just gets people engaged. Now, the problem is that there are too many distractions to hear good stories. So as parents, I mean, I know some people who say that, my grandparents used to tell me stories at the time when I used to go to bed, and that really helped me understand our scriptures. So as parents or grandparents, if we spend time with our children, maybe for half an hour in the day, talking to them about stories which we have heard, that will create interest in them to know more about stories. Yes, we can cry about the fact that my child is on his or her mobile, but what stops me to spend half an hour with my child narrating some stories? And if we narrate stories from our past, from our scriptures, they will believe these stories. They will not say these stories are from mythology. They may have existed, they may not have existed. But when we talk about stories from our scriptures, and if they start believing in the stories, they will start believing in the characters in the story. And because they believe in the character of the stories, they will believe in the teachings of those characters. And that's how we will develop faith in our Vedic personalities. So it all starts from us. Yeah, we need to take responsibility of the future generation.
So very interesting narration of the story, and time spent on it is going to help children to pick up the book once again. And we can have those lovely scenes at home once again where, children are sitting by themselves and not complaining of getting bored and reading storybooks. Rekha, one thing, a thought that's coming to my head, and I think we are running short of time, but I still want to ask you, children run away from homework. Now is the best time to run away from it. How are the teachers going to manage?
Sorry, could you repeat? Sorry, I didn't get you. Your first sentence.
Yes, children used to run away from homework. That used to be such an issue. Now this is the best time for them to just shun it completely. So how's the teacher going to take care of the revision aspect of what she has taught? How is she going to understand whether the child has got the hang of the concept or not? It's going to be a little tough. How is she going to overcome this?
As a teacher, as a principal, I had this philosophy: do not give children homework. That's why I said some of my things may shock you all. But I just feel a child needs to understand things in the class in a beautiful way and go back and do it himself or herself at home. It's so true. That's like aapne homework nahi diya, why aren't you giving us homework, and why? And we say the whole scenario has changed. Sadly, after being with us for the 4-5 hours, they are still going back to join private classes. So it's a real sad scene. My request again would be to educators as well as the parents is focus on the quality of think about marks at this given moment, whether your child is in the 10th or 12th or any class. It is, people were talking of homeschooling 6 months back, 8 months back, 1 year back. Just think you're doing homeschooling. Nothing will go wrong in the next 3, 4, 6, 8 months. Just let's all of us relax. There's nothing like homework, and there's nothing.
So, you keep saying that
like classwork. Focus on academic. No. Sorry, did I?
Yeah. So when I was told that you're a millennial at heart, I was expecting all this. And in fact, the homework part was there to take this from you. Well,
When
who
I'm sharpening pencils and sticking and showing it to the children and parents, be creative. I'm eating curd and eating pistas and showing parents, don't throw things away, keep on recycling things. And I've kept all my pencils here. I just feel there's so much we can do during this period. There's so much.
True.
Okay, but what about assessment of students? What about class tests? What do you see the scenario for exams?
They will be assessed. Yes, they assessed on multiple. No, they will be. The test will start now. Let August come. You'll see schools going in for tests. I'm telling you now, there are lots of schools which have already started their tests. But it's okay. And they have actually said what kind of a background it should be, what kind of a surrounding it should be, how much the screen should be visible. They are doing that. But the point again over here is that they are going to get into a mess in the long run. So I think with one school, what we have really done and which has really helped, because see, what we are talking is more of the elite kind of schools. I am in a position now, the children don't have the devices. I'm dealing with schools and where teachers are taking them on a hillock where there is a network, and then they're teaching from one mobile phone to 25 children. So we are focusing on our city kids. We are focusing assessment for city kids, but the kids all around have been affected. So in one state board school, what we have done, we have divided the days. So Monday it's only fifth education, Tuesday is only sixth standard education, Wednesday seventh standard education. We are doing that because they don't have the devices at home, because they are siblings. So assessment will be done school wise. Board at this moment will not come up. Of course, the state board has said reduce the syllabus by 25% and 30%. But at this moment, if the government comes up and the board comes up, the CBSE will have this system and ICSE, parents will not allow them to live. So I think we should just take a pause and wait and relax for some time.
So you know the nitty-gritties. You know the
Yeah, it's a
details.
fact. It's a fact. I'm telling you, you will hear a new WhatsApp message every day. And if you're in a parents group by night, be sure you'll not get sleep, because there are so many things on that parents group that you wonder that it's parents educating the children, or parents educating the teachers, or the teachers educating the government. We don't know.
Deepak, one last word from you. See, Rekha has given us a very graphic description of what's going to happen as far as assessments are concerned. To sum it all up, the challenges are there. There are opportunities. There are various ways in which we can convert these challenges into opportunities. One last word from you as we wind up.
See, today we hear a lot of children are going through mental challenges. Anxiety levels are high, depression cases are rising, and that's a big concern. And I think, the child in you will not leave you all your life. So, what we do with the child is a great investment. And one of the things which I have seen when I was talking to a friend psychologist of mine, and I asked her, what do you think is the challenge these children face? And she's told me that they have this sense of entitlement that, I need to get everything because everything has come to them pretty easy in life. If they want information, it's Google. If they want something, it's father. If they want a good dish, they go to their mother. So as we rear the child, as we nurture the child, it is very important that we allow the child to experience different emotions. Well, happiness is an emotion, excitement is an emotion, anger is an emotion, nervousness is an emotion, bitterness is an emotion. Like, like we need many ingredients to cook a dish. We need a lot of ingredients to make a child. Now, what is happening? We isolate the child from the negative emotions and just show him the positive emotions. But when the child goes into the real world and when he experiences those raw, dark emotions, he or she is not able to deal with it. So, my only request is that allow children to experience different emotions. And these emotional experiences will not come only by interacting with parents. They need to know how to interact with their grandparents. They need to know how to interact with the neighbors. They need to know how to interact with the security guard. They need to know how to interact with the help at home. They need to know how to interact with children who are from a lower income strata. We are saying social distancing. I think social distancing is happening at home since many, many years. Our children are isolated from the real world. And when they actually go into the real world, it comes like a shock to them, or they do not have the maturity to deal with the real world. They are definitely knowledgeable. They are definitely intelligent, but that's more of IQ. What about developing EQ? What about developing the spiritual quotient? And that will only happen if you allow the child to fly. If you're going to cage the child will be healthy as long as the child is in the cage. But one day the cage will have to be open. And you may not be there at that point in time, but the child will be there to experience all these emotions. And the more they experience these emotions earlier in life, they will know how to tolerate them. They will know how to deal with them.
When you were talking about children being caged and the cage will open one day, I was thinking of the birds, how much we have to learn from nature around us, and how beautifully you said that just as a dish is made of all ingredients, all kinds of ingredients, life too is made up of so many things, so many emotions. It's a delicacy, and let's savor that delicacy. Thank you so much, Deepak. And Rekha, your last words, please.
I would say the same what Deepak said. And when Deepak was talking about that, just yesterday we were talking some principles, and we were just saying that how our children would never like to use the word, my friends are from the chawl. But a chawl teaches you everything. And you learn companionship, you learn compassion, you learn friendship, you learn so much of patience, you learn sensitivity. And we were just discussing how our children are so blessed with so many things in our cities, and they do really need to value that. So I would tell the parents, at least, especially, even during this time of this lockdown and all, believe me, we have a buffet, and we just need to choose what is right for us and what is right for our health. Again, physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual health. Choose that much only and leave the rest to the universe. And very nicely said, nature teaches us everything. वो कहते हैं ना, सब सही वक्त पे होता है, न वक्त के पहले न वक्त के बाद. I think that's the best thing we can learn from nature. And that's what we need to leave everything to the universe. There is the law of the universe teaches us the abundance, and we need to teach our children at this time selflessness and service. I think that's the best way. I wonder if any of the parents got the thought key, I will send my child this time in police and all. I feel we should let our children choose whatever their calling is at this moment, because they have the time to choose. That's it. Thank you.
Now I think we need to replace social distancing with physical distancing, and we need to educate our children to be socially more acceptable, to be more communicative emotionally, and to grow up as wholesome human beings. It's been wonderful talking to you both. And you're talking about children. I have my grandson who's come here, and he's missing his friends, and he's missing his time in the park. And I have to, be a good substitute for his friends. And I've learned a lot from my interaction with you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sure all those who participated in the seminar are carrying with them a wealth of information and beautiful guidelines to live a very good life during these challenging times. They'll surely create opportunities out of these challenges. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.